welcome back to me. I was gone last week. And you know the slogan, where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs. We use the stuff that gets you drunk. Welcome back. The gentleman held it down last week with Rebel Moon, Scargiver, and Election. And we got a couple new ones that came our way with Challengers and Howard Stern's Private Parts, not his actual private parts. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he made a movie in 1999 called Private Parts. But it's good to be back. I had a long journey, so I will have a lot to go over and what I was watching this week. But before we get into any of that, we have to talk about the absolutely terrible movie that was our butter on top. Wait. We don't have to talk about that yet. Josh may have watched a good movie for the butter on top this week.
Yes,
Josh, what did you call out an executive decision that apparently makes you the executive in our relationship?
Yeah, I'm Kurt Russell.
And watch.
I'm Kurt Russell, always.
Oh, I thought executive you said decision. I am Colonel Original. I was like, okay.
Colonel Mustard. I'm Colonel Mustard in this bitch. Well, see, I got to the theater. I rarely had the chance to go to the theater because I usually work nights. We all know this. And I get to the theater, and I'm spending, a sizable portion of my funding to secure a movie ticket. And I see up there's the tennis movie, America. Or a movie called Boy Kills World. So I made an executive decision to forego the butter on top, and I make my own butter on top. That was gross. I made the choice to watch Boy Kills World instead. So should I talk about Boy Kills World now, or are we going to talk about that later?
No, I called on you to not hear about the movie. Yes, I would love to hear about Boy Kills World because we're both very interested in seeing that movie as opposed to the fecal matter left behind in your neighbor's yard by your dog that we had to watch.
Yeah. Whew. I wanted to point out, first of all, I went to the expensive movie theater, the Cinemark. Usually I go to the AMC, which is not quite as nice. This was like almost airport security level. Anyway, like there's like turnstiles, and everywhere I go there's like, oh, do you want a pepperoni pizza? It's 12 inches. Or like there's so many choices now.
It's $75.
All of the phrasing in this relationship, like it's like the airport. I would be like, Josh, were you frisked? And then he follows that with, do you want my pepperoni? It's 12 inches. And I'm like, Jesus, where were you?
I'm not make word good right now, but it was really cool at a really nice theater to have a really good movie experience.
Do you want a Dune popcorn bucket?
But so I get to the theater, I'm watching this movie, Boy Kills World. The trailers are all great, so everyone need to write these things down. We need to all watch Kinds of Kindness as soon as we can. I'm not sure when it's coming out. It's got a banger cast. It's going to be a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Next, looks like a little horror type of movie called Cuckoo. Put that on your radar. Looks nuts. And then Boy Kills World is essentially a hyper-violent kung fu action explosion movie. So they had another one of those in the trailers. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the movie's just called Kill. I think it's an Indian movie called Kill. And they showed it in like, it's one of those, oh, we're going to start busting up skulls and type of stuff. Like they're fighting in the subway and like, bah, bah, beep, 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 boop, boop. Really violent. It reminded me of like Nobody levels of violence when the fighting. You know that movie Nobody with Better Call Saul? Like that kind of stuff, but a lot more fast paced it seemed. Anyway, so watch out for that. Kill, Cuckoo, Kinds of Kindness. Anyway, this movie, Boy Kills World, it's the guy who played It. What's his name? Cross-Eye Boy?
Bill Skarsgård?
Skarsgård's in it. He's the man. Yeah. He's all beefed up, and he's a weapon. But so his character, deaf and mute, so he adopts a voice. His inner monologue is not his voice. It's the actor he played the Can on Wet Hot American Summer, or he's Archer or McGurk from Home Movies. A few other things.
Bob's Burgers, yeah.
Isn't he also in
he's Bob.
Emperor's New Groove? Isn't he Kronk?
I don't know. Kronk, that's Putty from Seinfeld. The guy who looks
Yeah,
like the Tick. Anyway, so that's the main character. That's his inner monologue. So most of the time, you're just hearing that voice. He can lip read, so there's a little bit of communication, but mostly it's just him talking inner monologue style. The movie shifts halfway through and things change a little bit. I'm not going to get into that. The setting of this is one of my favorite settings. It's like a post-apocalyptic type of thing. It reminded me of Double Dragon for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I just like that, like Mega Tokyo style city, but it's run by gangsters and it's the future, but everything sucks. Dystopian, super cool. So there's that element
Double Dragon,
to it.
also one of the first terrible video game movies.
Oh, real bad, dude. Real bad. But I do love that setting. I like that stuff where it looks like everyone just lives in the mall and there's motorcycles running through it. You know what I mean?
Or the sewer. Or the sewer.
Yeah,
I remember begging my mom.
Mall. It's a mall in the sewer.
Exactly.
Dallas. Okay, so that's all my notes. This movie was great. This is almost a popcorn and 3 for me. The only thing that makes it not a 3 is every character is kind of you can see what kind of archetype they are, and it's not that dynamic. But they don't really care there. It's just a good movie. Every character is good. Once again, like the second movie in a row, I see, what's his name? The dude from the District 9, Charlton Copley.
Charlton, love him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's in this movie, and once again, he's announcing things in front of a crowd, just like Monkey Man. So, like, weird. But anyway, his role in this is really good. Also, the dude from the other guys, the Arnie Palmies. You get it back here and have sex with my wife. That guy, he's in it. He's great. Chris
He's great in everything.
He's great. Everyone plays their role well in this. Jean Grey's in it. She's the main bad guy kind of thing. Anyway, really incredible visuals. The camera work is good for a fight scene. There's a lot of storytelling in the fights, so the choreography is lending to the element, and it's jam-packed. It is action. When it's time for action, it gets down. This is a great movie. I think on level with Monkey Man, but it's so different because it's not that serious. There's so many comedy elements to it. Man, it's good. I'm gonna watch it again immediately, like as soon as I get the chance. Popcorn and 2, great movie.
And now the energy shifts to a much worse movie.
For something completely different.
Jordan, why don't you start? Why don't you start?
Okay, so I'll give it one acknowledgement. So in this movie, there are exactly 0 characters with any likable, redeemable qualities.
The daughter's okay.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All she wants to do is watch Spider-Man.
Yeah. 0 relevant to the storyline characters that have any likable, redeemable qualities. But that speaks to sometimes some really good acting. Like some pretty good acting to where you're like, wow, I really like Zendaya. She's a likable personality, celebrity personality. Yes. But you really, really don't like her in this movie. She is just a horrible... Everybody in this movie is a horrible person. Everybody. Yeah. And I think that speaks to... So... I think this speaks to some pretty good acting. It's just a horrible movie. Every aspect, the characters, the plot, the sound editing, the production, just in general, the camera shots that they try to play with out of left field. They're just doing some crazy camera stuff.
It reminds me, the camera shots remind me of a little kid, like Stuart from Mad TV. Mommy, look what I can do.
Yeah.
Look what I can do.
Exactly.
That's the cameraman in the whole movie. Like, oh, have I tried it like this? Yeah. Have I tried it like this? Oh, look at this drone camera. And I'm like, dude, chill the fuck out.
Let's
sorry.
Bring in the drone.
Immediately broke my own rule. Go ahead, Jordan.
And what's crazy though about the music being the editing of the music for one, and then just the music choices in general. and it's so odd because it's
and the placement and
Yeah.
the placement of the music. Sometimes you're like, why is there a song here?
yeah, it's done by Trent Reznor too of Nine Inch Nails, which is like this is his thing now is he does music scoring.
He does
movie
really
scoring.
good scoring for
And
sure.
he's good, and he's very good. So I don't know what happened here. It's just maybe it's just the stink of this movie all around was contagious. It jumps all over the place. The timeline is like 2 weeks later, 2 hours earlier, back to the present, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 minutes ago. It's all over the place. There's no cohesive filming style. And just to speak to just some things about the plot here, bro, the way you get her is the way you lose her is the as Confucius says, bro code violations left and right. Like that is not a good friend. There are so many signs of just, bro, that is not your boy. Like just
not your boy.
From jump.
Yeah.
From jump.
Yeah. And tennis matches are silly. Tennis matches are kind of silly in general. I'm sorry, tennis people out there. They're just hard to take seriously. It's very athletic. It's very difficult. I've tried to play tennis. I can't do it at all. But it's just silly, and they don't even try to make these look cool. It's bad. This is a popcorn.
Yeah, the best effect in the entire movie was Zendaya's knee injury. That was the best effect in the
that was
whole
brutal.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only good effect in the whole movie that centers around Zendaya's character Taji, right? That was her name? Or is it Tanaji?
Tashi.
Tosh Bono.
Michael Faist's character Art Donaldson, Josh O'Connor's character Patrick. And it was terrible, and we need to make sure that I need to start something. Like, we need to bring back hunks. Bring back hunks. Bring back hunks.
Beef boys. Bring back beef boys.
Stop trying to make me fall in love with, or even make it believable. Or maybe this is just the society we live in, where like women are really into skin and bones dudes with like no really great features that exist.
Pythons.
Like, give me the Cuban Macho Man Randy Savage, or the fake Cuban Razor Ramon, or the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, or give me Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone. Give me even skinny Bruce Willis. Like give me anything but what I have right now.
Did you see my backhand swing?
Because I could not suspend disbelief, and then with everything that goes on in this movie, I was just like, is this just one long infomercial for times have changed? Because that's what it felt like, a very long infomercial for things are different now, and I'm fine with that aspect of it. But when you do it like this, let me say this, Josh. You can relate to this because you've actually walked out of a movie. I almost walked out of this movie 4 different times.
Wow.
4 different times. I grabbed my coat and I was like, I can't watch. This is horseshit. This whole movie is so bad. I have to leave. And it's like the dialogue, terrible. The acting, terrible. The writing, terrible. The time jumping, terrible. All of it was so bad. It was just so bad. It was like a Hallmark movie about like it was really bad. Like Jordan said, the effects were terrible. The best effect, like I said, was Zendaya's knee. These are terrible humans. Just really bad. Everybody's screwing over everyone else. And I think the theme of this movie is, look, dude, all humans are selfish and we all just want to bang each other. That was the theme of the movie.
Bang, bang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all selfish. We all just want to bang. I struggle to give this movie a popcorn. So this is an unpopped Orville Redenbacher before you put it in your microwave.
Yeah, and it's been in the pantry. Like, it's been in that pantry, dude. Like, got a little bit of scuzz on it.
It was really gross. Really quick, let me hit election, as that was last week's drunk classic for everyone. That was our Butter on Top, and if you want to get more of those Butter on Tops, make sure you visit the Sad Fan Podcast Network. This is Popcorn and Beers, as I said at the beginning. watch all of our stuff because we have everything that you haven't seen yet being reviewed. Now, Election. I haven't seen Election since I was probably 13, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was 13 and I watched Election because I was like, I might see a boobie in this movie.
Yeah.
That was the reason for me putting on Election. That was the real reason. I watched it because I was like, I'm 13-year-old and I might see a boob.
There might be a boob in there.
That's it. Like you might not want to admit it based on what I just watched in Challengers. We can't be honest with ourselves anymore. But unless you're being like too honest about what you really aren't, but you feel like you have to be it because society says you have to be it.
Oh,
No. Let's all be honest for ourselves in a true fashion. Every young boy has a movie where they think they may see an appendage that they're interested in. Every single one.
Dude, I remember like watching Devil's Advocate, and that was sort of trauma-inducing because there's boobies, but it's the devil's boobies. So what do you think that did to me?
Like Jacob's Ladder, where you have the demon penis.
Yeah.
It is I think I gave it a pop 1 again. It is a pop 1 for me, I believe. It's kind of creepy because this came out in a time of like American Beauty. There's another film, Rushmore, I want to say, came out around the same time.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of movies about either teachers, professors, or elders sleeping with their younger pupils.
Are you trying to seduce me, Mrs. Robinson?
So all of these movies came out around the same time, and I literally wrote, I was like, so I guess like in the late 90s, we were just open, like teachers just want to have sex with their students. That's what was going on here.
Mm-hmm.
It is creepy in a lot of ways. If you are willing to sit there and observe it, a lot of this movie is just very creepy, stalkerish, desperate in multiple ways. I think that the driven Reese Witherspoon is a fairly normal character. However, that doesn't make her a good person. But I do think that is a fairly normal character. I think it goes all the way to high school. All politicians are just horny, dirty, terrible people.
Yep.
And there's got to be a better place to hide the ballads that you want to throw away than in your trash can in your classroom.
Yeah. Hide it in your gooch. No one's looking there, bud. Your freshly washed gooch.
I mean,
you see that? Did you notice that? The way he washed his
prison wallet.
Yeah.
You noticed that? It was like, why did they show that twice?
What's weird about that?
I mean, it's just the fact that they emphasized it on
Why is he showering in the student locker room?
It's so weird.
Also weird. That's weird. That's a weird thing that he's doing there.
I mean,
there's
you're
a lot
right,
of weird
it is.
stuff. Yeah, like he's just showering in the student locker room, just getting it in. Then he's like falls in love with his best friend's ex-wife for no reason.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Like,
well,
yeah, the whole movie's out there. Matthew Broderick, I do not see as a sexual human. Good for him for landing someone as amazing as Sarah Jessica Parker, who I think at one point in the last 20 years was the highest paid actress in the world.
I thought he was gay.
But no,
I thought he was gay.
Just he's not. He's married to Sarah Jessica Parker.
Well, I thought he was
and
gay.
He has been married to her, I think, for like 30 years. Like they've been married for a very long time.
Well, I thought he was gay.
I understand. For me, it is a pop 1. I do appreciate the rewatch, though. I did like the rewatch. Jordan had this week's Drunk Classic. So, Jordan, if you want to lead off again with Howard Stern's Private Parts. Not his actual private parts again.
No.
Just Howard Stern made a movie called Private Parts. I feel like I have to keep reiterating that. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, he's making big news, so I'm glad that I picked this week. It's very topical, very relevant. Yeah, he made big news this week, so I'm glad I picked it because he, I guess, had a surprise interview with Joe Biden. So that's been really making it's been out there. So I'm really excited
to see his nipples.
I don't know yet. I'm really excited to listen to it.
I'd love to hear it.
But his movie, came out in the 90s, I believe. It was 99, produced by Ivan Reitman, who did like Ghostbusters, a lot of comedies in the 90s and stuff. So surprising big grab for production there. A lot of big actors: Allison Janney, Mary McCormick, Leslie Bibb. Paul Giamatti got his break in this movie.
Oh, really?
Which is
Leslie Bibb in this?
What?
Leslie Bibb was in this?
Yeah, she is. When they're doing the Kielbasa Queen to the weatherman, she's the
Yes.
tour guide. She's the tour guide.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Howard, Robin, and Fred themselves play themselves, and they do a fantastic job acting in this. A great job. Baba Booey is in this. He is introducing the timeline. He's kind of following the timeline of Howard's life. He looks ridiculous.
Baba
They
Booey.
incorporate the whack. They incorporate the Whack Packers from the show, which is funny. Every time you watch this movie, you pick up some little Easter egg of just something, some kind of penis joke or some kind of inappropriate little innuendo that they're inserting in there. I love, one of my favorite scenes in this movie is, I wasn't getting a lot of girls, so I turned to doing a lot of drugs, but the problem was the drugs made me paranoid. He's in his room. And then him playing frisbee in the park with the guy and just throwing it in his face. The guy's,
That was actually the only scene I actually... What a place for that to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the only scene that I actually remembered from the movie was that and the Fart Man thing.
Fart
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it leaves out some of the particularly scummy things that he did in his career.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, he did some pretty bad stuff to some people, and it also embellishes some of the bits, like the whole woman on the speaker thing. The actual bit was nowhere near as successful. He didn't really pull it off like that. It's not like that at all. And again, the Paul Giamatti WNBC
BC.
scene is great. That's classic. I give this movie a popcorn and one. It's a popcorn and one, but I love it. I'm a fan, huge fan. Listen to it every day.
All right, well, yeah, I go popcorn one. I'd never seen it. I just really just skipped it because I don't care about Howard Stern as a kid. I didn't know who he was, and then I was like, oh, he's a guy on the radio. Who cares? That's how I felt. But I've seen some stuff with him lately, and I don't know much about his younger career, which I heard was while prolific, also at times disgusting and vile. I don't know.
Problematic.
But nowadays his stuff is not exactly clean, but a little more polished, I suppose.
Sanitized?
Sanitized. I mean, he's a little wiser. Seems like a pretty cool guy in general. I like the movie. It was good. As far as biopics go, how often do you get to be yourself in the biopic? So that's kind of cool. And it seemed pretty evident that, he's making himself out to be a really great, nice person. He's just a nice person who wants to do the radio, which might be true. I don't know. Yeah. But, I don't know. It was pleasant. Not really high stakes. Not really. He doesn't really have this great, huge hero story. He's just a guy on the radio, which is what the movie was. They are who we thought they were. Popcorn one. It was pleasant. I liked it. Whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna say this. He is definitely somebody that has grabbed life by the penis and twisted. That's something I will say. I mean, I don't like that he has this rags to riches because you didn't. Your dad was in the industry. You had an in, whether you're gonna admit that or not. You had. He was a radio engineer. You were
it's actually a pretty good job.
Radio studio.
Yeah, it's a thing. Again, it's not quite rags to riches, but he definitely, like I said, grabbed the penis, twisted it, and got himself to where he wanted to be. And I think we're trying to do that here in a different way. So I kind of watch it with a little bit of admiration. I found a lot of it funny. I found a lot of it interesting. But at the end of the day, he's probably a tool. He probably is a tool. Good for him for making himself seem like, I definitely have radio sex with women, but I'd never cheat on my wife. And she definitely hates that I do it, but it makes us all kinds of money. And I'm a great person. And I could get any girl I want at the very end of the movie. Literally. Take her home right now. But that's not who I am. And if you don't realize that by now, you haven't been watching the same movie that I produced and wrote. Yeah, good. Good job making yourself look great in your biopic. That's awesome. I'm proud of you.
I like it when there was that naked lady. I like that part.
Jenna Jameson.
This is very clearly 1999. Jordan was born in what year?
94.
I might see a booby movie for Jordan. Because guess what? It was sitting on the shelf. Jordan was 5 years old when it came out. That means he was staring at that blue movie VHS case with the pink letters on it that said Private Parts. And and just waiting
Bingo.
for his mom to go to work when he'd walk home from school and be able to pop that bad boy right into the VHS.
Hey, that's not where you put it.
For me, it was a popcorn and one, I suppose, because it was interesting. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was just thinking, I forgot to mention, for what I assumed of him, not knowing much about him is when I was younger and now, watching this movie finally, after all the, not really hype, but you know what I mean, build up, it was a pretty tame movie considering the subject matter. Don't you think? I mean, obviously there was some stuff, but it wasn't that much, it wasn't that offensive, it wasn't that shock jockey. But it was the 90s. It was different. It didn't really. It
Yeah,
He was
wasn't
obviously
like.
trying to paint himself.
And it's the early years. I think it was before he got his TV show where he was doing some wild late night like stuff.
Oh yeah, the vomit stuff and all this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it got a little bit crazier in the 2000s, but
Wasn't he having like women ride the Symbian too? Like,
yes,
all crazy
exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
So he was your first shock jock. He really was.
Yeah.
He was your first
First
shock
national
jock.
one, yeah.
I will say this is Paul Giamatti's worst performance ever. Like he was terrible in this.
It's
The
his
accent
first big
was-
one.
The accent was god awful. Like
Yeah.
every time Paul Giamatti used that accent, I hated it. I wanted to shoot him for me. It was bad. It was a bad accent. Paul, you've come a long way. I'm proud of you. All right. Jordan, what were you watching this week? And I'll follow you. Josh will go lasty last.
All right. Well, I watched something that you already reviewed, Percy Jackson and the Olympians on Disney Plus. So I keep that short. You know, it's for a bunch of kids and stuff. The cast is good. I just, I don't know. They're just little babies and they're just cute. And I don't know. It's hard to really get taken in instantly by the cast. Take it seriously. Some of the dialogue is just too cheesy. It piles on so much exposition. Like really fast in this. It's too dark. The show is too dark, like almost everything now. You can't see what's going on at a lot of times. Yeah, the guy who plays Ares is great. Like, I don't know what
Edge?
roles. Is that the Edge? Was it the Edge?
Well, I don't think he's called the Edge. I think he's just Edge.
I figured he looked very. I'm like, why do I know this guy? And he just has a strange bone structure in his face, and he looks awesome. Yeah,
He's
really
got a weird
good.
jaw or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
that's what made him super famous. He was like a sex symbol in WWE at first.
Yeah.
The long blonde hair with the goatee and the jawline.
He looks like a human predator. I think I like to think I'm pretty good with mythology, but that's not my subject. Like my degree, not my subject there. But they go really deep, and sometimes it kind of just feels like they're making stuff up as they go along. And just, God, I'm frozen.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah, frozen. But they go deep, and sometimes it feels like they're just making stuff up on the fly to support the narrative and just hoping people don't catch it. I'm sure they're not, but and that's just what it feels like. Yeah, that's what it feels like to stupid people.
Zeus invented rap very clearly.
It was good. It was good. I'm gonna watch a season 2 of this when it comes out, but it's still to me it's a popcorn.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a popcorn. I'm gonna watch season 2. So next up, I watched Baby Reindeer on Netflix.
Ooh.
And let me tell you, it was heavy. It was a ride. It really sells itself as like this kind of comedy, dark comedy, little bit of drama. But man, halfway through, it's a limited series, 6 episodes, I believe, 7 episodes, 30 minutes a pop. And it takes a dive in the middle into some dark, uncomfortable subject matter. It's just traumatic. It's about a stalker, about a woman who's a stalker, but then it just really turns into this guy's super traumatic life. And it's just all these different messages, like the abuse of men and just kind of how that's looked at and how men tend to deal with having this traumatic abuse done to them. The acting in it is incredible. everybody. This is going to win some awards for sure, especially the main, the woman in this show. She
the stalker, right?
The stalker. She is amazing. She's going to get a lot of roles. You're going to be seeing a lot of her as a result of this. But it's one of those things where it bothers me so much when just the character has a bad situation going on and they make every decision possible to make their situation worse.
And you're supposed to keep liking him.
Yeah. Like
I'm supposed to root for this idiot. Yeah.
It's just like, dude, come on. But they do explain it. They go heavy on the psych eval going on throughout this. It touches on trans dating issues very well. It's fantastic in that aspect. Good stuff there. It's just so layered. And just trigger warnings everywhere. Just more triggers than
you get a trigger. Yeah. You get a trigger. You get a trigger.
Yeah, more triggers than a Quentin Tarantino film. And it's so traumatic throughout that it really it's the type of thing where you need some closure at the end, like some kind of closure. Like throw me a bone. This is. I'm a broken man at the end of this watching this, and I need something.
We've come so far. I'm so thirsty.
Yeah, I need something, but it's rough. But I'm gonna give this a popcorn and 2. This is not for everybody. I made the mistake of recommending this to like everybody, like after the mid-second episode, and then it took that hard dive, and I had to text everybody and be like, maybe don't watch this. Maybe this.
Hey, you remember what I said?
Yeah, maybe this isn't for you, because this is not for everybody. But it's a very important thing to watch. The message, everything. So popcorn and 2.
It's an important conversation. I'm glad we're having it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I love it because it's on my list. It's at the top. I'll probably now intermix it with Dead Boy Detectives, so that way I get some levity with some crazy, some crazy.
I had to watch John Oliver right after. I had to really cleanse the palate.
I'm like 2 episodes behind on John Oliver, so don't spoil it. Mm-hmm. All right, so for me, as you guys know, audience, I was in Japan, making reels in Japan, having sushi in Japan, like Post Malone. So I am back, but that flight was 19 hours, so bear with me. I'm going to cruise like Will Smith through as many of these as I can, and some of them the gentlemen have already reviewed. I'm also going to filibuster a little bit of time for Josh to continue to draw his drawing, do his drawings, his musings. Oh, he's done already. Couldn't do it. I love it. Bring back Beef Boys. Stop trying to make me feel attracted to tiny itty bitty people. All right. Now, I'm sure they're all like 6'3", 6'2" as well. That's what's funny is they're just rail thin people. But I watched Weird Al Yankovic, and I really wanted to see this when it came out on Roku, but I live in England, so I can't watch Roku movies. So on the flight, when I saw Weird Al Yankovic, it was the first thing I watched. I was like, finally. I had heard so much about it. And if you know anything about Weird Al Yankovic, you know that he creates parody songs. So if you expected his biopic to be anything different than a parody, you're crazy. It was so funny. It was a pop one. You have to sink into the fact that it is Weird Al doing his own biopic, and it pokes fun at so many different things. He has a relationship with Madonna throughout the film, and Madonna causes his downturn into drugs and alcohol and arrogance, and that is so funny. He gets mixed up with the Colombian cartel because of Madonna, and Daniel Radcliffe is a perfect pour here, just a perfect pour. He fully embraced this role. Like, there's a funny scene where it's like, you never heard of a hay man, bro? And he's like, no, we got to teach you about a hay man. And they're like, okay. And then it's all to sneak him out of his parents' house for a party. And they finally have the big reveal of what a hay man is. And it's just a dude made of hay and pajamas in the bed. Like to trick his parents. They pull him back, and the father's like, what the hell is this? And the mother's like, it's a hay man. Like, it's like a normal thing. And there are so many parts of this movie that go that route. There are a ton of perfect cameos. You have the Michael Jackson parodying Weird Al, not Weird Al parodying Michael Jackson. The whole premise of Weird Al's career taking off was his ability to write original songs, and his first ever original song was "Eat It."
Yep.
And then months later, pop sensation Michael Jackson parodies "Eat It" for the Weird Al bump to bump his album up. And it was fantastic. I thought they did a great job with it, and it's a movie that's very aware of itself. And every actor in it, I think, is very aware of what they're doing. Next film I watched was Silent Night with Joel Edgerton, where he plays a father that's a former police officer that's no, he's not even a former police officer. Pardon me. He's just like a guy, I think, just a random dude. And a drug war bursts out on his street, leading to tragedy. In this tragedy, he chases down drug dealers, ends up getting shot in the throat. So he cannot talk, all right? It is the most boring action film I've ever seen. Thank you, John Woo, for this. It was not beautiful. The action scenes were not that great. And in fact, we don't get very many of them. They're actually few and far between. But what we do get is something I didn't know I would never, ever, 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 ever need until I got it, which is like a 20-minute montage of silence. No music. No talking. Him doing things silently. That's where I fell asleep. That's one of the points where I fell asleep in the movie. Because it's literally just him doing things, learning how to fight or whatever. Not well. Not like cool like Rocky.
Is there at least
really
ASMR?
terribly. No. It's completely silent. It's just quiet. It's just a silent montage because he can't talk.
I would have went a different way with that one.
So I'm watching and I'm like, this is really bad. Like, this is so boring. And I literally put longest silent montage ever. It's interesting because his wife just leaves him because he's so obsessed over his son dying. And I'm like, I was like, dude, like, this is terrible because, like, his wife lost a son too. Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert. Anyway, his wife had to suffer through tragedy also, and he like does not care about her in the least because he's just like deal with his own stuff, and she's like suffering on her own. And then my last note was, I mean, this film is just so boring. So Silent Night, I mean, if you could suffer through it, go ahead, but it's not good. Next, I watched Bodies, 6 episodes, I believe, on Netflix. It might be 8. I think it was 6 though, on Netflix, and it is a time travel movie that takes place over 4 generations of detective all trying to solve the same crime, and it was really, really good until the last 2 episodes. Now, you start off in the late 1800s, you fast forward to World War II during the Nazi bombings of England, then you go to modern day, and then you go to the future. And basically, this is all about people, physicists, creating time machines to go back in time and create a super cult that rules the world, where everybody's just nice to each other. And at the end of the day, it only gets a pop 1 from me because it all boiled down to a guy that's mommy didn't love him. That was the big reveal. Like, my parents didn't love me enough, so I've got to go back and create a cult where everyone's nice to each other.
Why is it
like, okay.
when there's it seems like a big trope of time machine stuff is it's always something petty. Like, we're going to go back in time to bury bodies, like the mob in Looper. Like, that's a really dumb reason to invent a time machine.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then you have Disney's Time Machine, where he just wants to go back and save his beloved's wife.
My
His beloved is
beloved.
his wife.
Ah, my beloved.
So, next I watched Anyone But You, the rom-com of this year with Sydney Sweeney, who is one of the most in demand, because I almost made a Zoolander joke, but then I realized I'm talking about a female and it wouldn't have come across the way I wanted it to contextually. So, she is one of the most in-demand female actresses right now. I think she has like 2 films in theaters currently, actually, and this one came out just before those 2. So, Anyone But You is terrible. It gets a popcorn. It is some of the laziest writing you've ever seen in your whole life. Like, some of the lines are just stupid, and no one talks like that, and no couples get together like that, and no one flirts like that. It is so unrealistic and stupid. The funniest part is he has a Soothe song, and it's Feel the Rain on Your Skin by Natasha Bedingfield. And that is like that thread was the only thread that made me laugh until they ruined that thread at the very end of the movie, and then just slobbered all over your face as if they were throwing up vomit like this movie was. It was really bad. No good direction, dialogue, like I said, and really the whole film is just an excuse to get Sydney Sweeney and this guy in their swimsuits. That's really it. The guy, great body. He's in Top Gun Maverick. I can't remember his name. I know he's like 35 years old.
He must work out.
It was literally it. Go ahead, Jordan.
The guy with the smug trust fund face. That guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
and he has that throughout this whole movie. He's
Boat
a
shoes.
hedge fund guy or a day trader or something.
I'm Jared Boat Shoes.
Overall, just terrible movie. Just really, really bad. And I watched it, I think, because I needed let me find a rom-com, something funny, to watch. So, take the edge off of this flight. Nope, bad film. Mad at it. Anyway.
Mad at it.
Three body problem. Three body problem. Jordan already reviewed this. I will tell you this. He was right about a majority of it. However, the ending was lazy. The ending was so lazy. And that was it. That was it for me. If it wasn't such a lazy ending, I think it would have been super popcorn and 2. But for me, because of that last episode and because of the need to get me to a season 2, I will give it just a popcorn and 1. On to my only pop in 3 of all of these reviews. My only pop in 3 is the series Shogun, which you can find on Disney Plus or Hulu, and it is phenomenal. I think Mariko is going to go down as one of the best television characters ever. I found her character phenomenal. I found the job that the actress did very, very good. Her story arc was phenomenal, and I'm really happy it happened, whether it be happy, sad, depressing, euphoric at the end. I'm not going to reveal that, but I will say her story arc was great, and I felt like the actress played it perfectly. Again, another perfect pour for that. The visuals on this show were phenomenal. The settings, the scene direction, where the cameras were placed so that while people were talking, you could take in all of what the set design team had put together and what the location scout had found. It was just it all pieced together just perfectly. If this doesn't win awards for cinematography, set design, costume design, then we're flawed as a society because it was great. It was absolutely great. The only thing that will take you out of it is the actor that plays the English gentleman. I think his name is John, but he's the only thing that will really take you out of it. But overall, very good show. What was that?
I said John Krasinski. I just finished your name. It wasn't him.
It was. I think it's John Blackthorne, if I'm correct, is the character's name. Yeah. But it was great. It was a really good show, and there's a lot of elements that it's missing. But if you just soak it all in and you sit on it for a minute, you'll be like, you know what? It actually didn't need those elements. I think it was just right, and that's why it is a popcorn and 3 for me. All right,
I'm only 2 episodes into it. So I'll just, my initial comments on the first 2 episodes are just, they got the whole white savior problematic thing going on in the foreign land, and he's there to save everybody.
Yes.
The character is very off-putting with his ridiculously over-put on gruff pirate voice that he has. It's stupid, just like you said. The Game of Thronesy opening credit, such a ripoff of that. But the Spanish dudes are hilarious in this. I'm 2 episodes in. I'm really loving the dialogue of the Spanish guys. They're so funny.
That's cool.
There's one Spanish guy, and then the rest are Portuguese, to be clear.
Okay. All right. Well,
you're talking about the other pilot, right?
Yes, that guy. He's funny.
It smells like your mother's balls, Englishman.
He's funny.
He is one of my favorite characters in the show. He is good. On to Rebel Moon Scar Giver. I gave this a pop. I gave it a pop. It wasn't as good as the first. We had
the first one was
an
good?
hour of
No.
We had an hour of boring. We had an Avatar-like bring back of like a return of. I don't know how you discovered these things. I don't even.
I
what to
know.
think.
I don't know either. I'm discovering it in live time with all along with you. I'm discovering it now.
Okay. It's weird for the audience that's listening to the podcast that Josh uploads each and every week. Make sure you listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Jordan, with every movement, for some reason, he has a function that comes across his screen. We have rainstorms. We have fireworks. I don't quite understand what's happening.
Let me do it.
Anyway,
Egyptian.
No.
It didn't work.
No, nothing.
I'm so very confused that
you gotta
what
hold
is
it.
happening.
Hey.
Oh, there it goes. I am.
You gotta hold it there.
Not working.
You just don't got the magic, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm trying to see if there's any difference here.
I'm gonna
between
colonize
yours
your
and
magic.
ours, and
Make it mine.
Anyway, that's what the Portuguese were trying to do in Shogun. But the first hour of this was very boring, and the only thing Zack Snyder did to introduce something to make it less boring was give you some backstory on some of the characters. And the thing is, the backstory on the characters lasts like 2 to 5 minutes. And I'm like, no, give me more. That's actually interesting. This is actually kind of cool. Like, keep showing me their storyline. and he did, no, cut away. Let's get to the back, sitting around the table having alcohol together. We need to see this conversation. And I was just like, this is boring. Also, how are you going to kill off the best character? Like, where's it going to go from here? Because he wants to make 6 of these. And they've now killed off the best character. What was her name?
Bobby.
Was she the necromonger or whatever she was? The robot arms with the swords?
Nobody cares, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody cares.
She was very clearly the best character.
Yeah.
And they killed her.
She had the best scene. Of all of the scenes, she had the best scene fighting the spider monster thing. That was cool.
Yeah, well, even in the barn, in this one, in the barn, she's also BA. And she only gets killed because all these stupid farmers don't know how to help her. Like, that's the only reason she has to die. Is because and then who's the one brave farmer? A little 6-year-old boy. Why don't you grow some balls, farmers? Anyway, it is a Titanic-esque royal family murder scene where the band just keeps playing while the royal family's being murdered. Did you guys catch that in your watch? Like, the band is still playing violin and the harp, and they're just murdering these people, and the band just keeps going. Like, they just keep playing.
I think that was about an hour and a half into the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like an hour and a half into this movie.
Bitch.
and I was just so tuned out at that point. I was like,
it was boring.
Yeah.
It was, so a lot of people, here's what's funny. A lot of people really like Spider-Man 2. I did not like Spider-Man 2.
Sam Raimi?
The original Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi. I hated it. And you know why? Because I fell asleep again. Because there's an hour and a half where he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. F that. I didn't pay to see you wander around the world and go to bodegas and buy sandwiches. I paid to watch damn Spider-Man, put on the damn suit, and do spider shit. All right?
We almost like it threatened to make him go to the theater and watch a play in the movie. Like, I'm not about to watch Peter Parker watch a play in a movie.
That's exactly it. No, you're right, though. And then it's like a love story through the next 45 minutes of that. And I'm just like, just give me Spider-Man. That's literally all I care about.
Yeah. Crybaby Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Not a fan.
Yeah, so then we get this, and it's the same thing. Zack Snyder's giving me an hour of shit I just don't care about for this film. Like, that's not why I turn on a movie called Rebel Moon Scargiver. I turned it on to watch some scars being given. That's why I turned this on. All right, so for me, it was just the popcorn. We'll see. He wants to make 6, but this sucked.
He's not gonna make
Suncoast. This is a take on the Terry Schiavo story, right? Do you guys recall the Terry Schiavo story?
No, who's that?
The pro-life versus unplug the machine, like do not resuscitate. Terry Schiavo, her husband wanted to unplug the life support, and the parents wouldn't let him unplug the life support, and it became like a case about money. But to him, he says it wasn't a case about money; it was a case about quality of life, and how could she she's not enjoying herself. She's a vegetable, and it divided America. Do you guys recall that at all?
No.
Ring any bells?
I'm illiterate.
Okay. Well, this was a pretty big news story.
Kind of ruined the whole bit.
I suppose if you've never heard of Terry Schiavo, you're not going to want to watch this movie. But it is called Suncoast, and that is the name of the healing facility where it's basically a hospice care center for folks that are senior or brain dead. And it is who is the actress? Can someone tell me this while I give my review? Who is the actress that plays Wendy Bird in Ozark? If you can tell me that, that'd be great. And Woody Harrelson's
name. It is
Woody Harrelson's also in this. And it is a
Laura Linney.
Laura Linney. You know her. Everyone knows Laura Linney.
Truman.
But in this, she is like, I was like, dang, like, so her role after Ozark is to play the Karen of all Karens. Because, like, this woman is a Karen. She's mean to her daughter. All she cares about is her son who has brain cancer, can't talk, can't function, can't move. He can just open his eyes and close his eyes. He's basically a vegetable. And there's a lot of things in this movie that just make you sad for the daughter because all she really wants is to be a teenager, to have a relationship. There's a lot of dialogue in it that makes you sad. It will make you think. It's definitely a tearjerker. There are some scenes in it that will tug at your heartstrings. It is a pop one, but you kind of get to see the inside of what it is actually like to deal with a situation like that, where you have someone that you love that's dying, and that person's become, whether you like it or not, and you don't want to admit this, but a burden. And you don't really know what to do because you don't want to admit, like, man, this is a big burden, but I love this person at the same time. And it's hard to differentiate the two. Like, should I not be allowed to have the feelings I have, which is I want to go live my life. I want to be an adult, but I want to love this person and take care of this person. And I think it does a really good job of addressing that in this film. It is definitely a coming of age for her, though, for the teenager. And it's just how everyone deals with something different, has different coping mechanisms in a situation like this. And you get 3 different coping mechanisms in this story. And so it's kind of interesting the way they did that. I watched Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 1 on HBO. It is a pop one. It is animated. And my only note here is DC. How do you keep getting it right with your animated films and keep getting it wrong with your live action films? Just take the animated film and shot for shot it into a live action film and you have a hit.
They've they have different management. TV, movies, and animation is 3 different studios within DC. I think James Gunn's going to be changing that, but yeah, it's totally different management.
Yeah, and the animation's better. Would you agree? I know you're a comic book guy.
DC animated films are top of the game. Like, Marvel's got a few good ones, but DC, they're killers.
Yeah, it's literally fantastic.
All the different Batman
so
ones.
I also watched Fallout, and Josh, I'm going to save this one because I know you watched Fallout as well, so I'll save that one. The final film I watched was called Sunshine, and I just want the audience to hear this cast really quickly. The cast of Sunshine in 2007, Cillian Murphy, Michelle Yeoh, Rose Byron, Chris Evans, Cliff Curtis, Benedict Wong, Hiroki Sanada, Troy Garrity. These are all people you know, I promise. And when you watch it, you will be like, dang, I know that person. Where do I know that person from? All right. And it is this movie, I guess. No, Sunshine is a film about a crew of astronauts that have to go drop an interstellar bomb into the sun because the sun is losing heat and losing power and is no longer reaching Earth with a strong enough force to prevent snow. All right, so the whole world has fallen into an ice age, and it is the plight of this crew. The one knock on this movie is the ending is really bad. I did not like the ending at all.
The ending is bad, but the concept is good. Is that what we're saying?
It's just interesting. It's just interesting.
I know. It just sounds like an idiocracy. Like, hey, why don't we just blow it up?
Well, it's the whole science behind it is if we drop a bomb, an interstellar bomb, into the center of the sun,
right?
It will create a reaction that causes the sun to start burning at the same heat that it once was.
Right.
That's the whole. That's
I
the whole
understand what they're
premise
trying
of
to
the
do.
film.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
But there are some dumb things that occur. It's a lot of physicists. It's a lot of stupid arguments. But it is a fun film. Chris Evans does a really good job being like a rational person in this, whereas Cillian Murphy is the eternal scientist. You have some ethicists on this. It's very interesting takes on everything. But it was fun seeing all of these really, really famous actors and actresses now, 17 years ago in this film together, because they're all really good still in 2007. You're like, I can see why they were all going to be superstars.
Yeah.
So I gave this one a popcorn and 2. I think it's an interesting movie, and I'm glad I watched it. Josh, what were you watching?
Well, actually, all I had was the Fallout, bud. I watched John Wick. We've seen John Wick. We've talked about John Wick. John Wick's good. Who cares? Fallout. We finished Fallout, and yes, viewers, I'm sorry. This is the 3rd week in a row we're talking about Fallout because this is a popcorn and 3 show. I called it last week, but I finished it.
Yeah.
It is good. It's inspired me to go back and play the game like millions of other people. But the storyline for this first season, the storyline is original. It just takes the lore very loyally and puts it in a different city, much like every game. Every Fallout game is a different city. So this city, I'm assuming, is NorCal. I don't know, but
It looks like Southern California.
okay, like San Francisco or something, huh?
No,
Maybe.
Southern California would be Los Angeles.
It's Hollywood. No, yeah, it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
That was like the final
Yeah.
shot. So cool. Anyway, it's just so good. The characters are all richly developed. Goggins is a badass dude, even if he doesn't have a nose. It's every little scene in the movie or the show, excuse me. It's a direct pull from stuff that's in the games. It's so loyal to its subject matter, source material. It builds the aesthetic perfectly. The comedy is wrapped in it's baked in so nice, just like the show. It juggles between horror and gore and laughs and good writing and I say good acting. I think the whole thing is great. I can't wait to see where it goes from here. There's plenty of other places they can go. There's like a lot more they can do. It's so exciting. Poppin' 3.
Yeah, I actually earlier this week I spent the night at FRYE's mom's house. Woo! Because she's my aunt. For people that are new to the show, yeah, who are new to the show, she's my aunt. But I walked in and they were watching this show. They were actually on the first episode. They were just starting it, and I was so jealous. I'm like, I'm so happy you guys get to experience this for the first time because it's fantastic. It's so fun.
Good.
Yeah, I gave it a pop too. I felt like there's a little bit of like there could have been a little bit more at the end. The dialogue was a little weak at the end, and I think you can only fit so much in. I felt like there could have been a little bit more explanation around what's going on, why it's happening towards the end. We get some with his wife in the recording, with Goggins' wife in the recordings.
Mm-hmm.
We also get to know that her mother exists in this universe. The main character's mother exists in this universe still, maybe not in the way she was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to find out a little bit about the father, but what we don't know is, are these clones? Are they prolonging their life? Are they all what do we call them, ghouls, like Goggins is?
Mm-hmm.
In order to prolong their life, we don't really know what's going on there, because there could be some cloning situations.
I guess there could be some cloning situations, but it seemed pretty clear to me.
31. Think about 31. 31 is just the brain,
stasis pods.
and there's a lot of DNA in 31.
Yeah, I mean, it could be clones. Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't think about that, but it seemed pretty clear that they're just in stasis pods. Anyway, spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, they addressed the stasis pods, but it felt like there were similar people in the stasis pods that are already walking around on the Earth.
Right. Yeah. Anyway,
So
I don't want to spoil it. Anyway,
And you know what, Amazon, handle this right. Don't make us wait 5 years for season 2. Don't drop it.
I've got bad news about 3 Body Problem.
Oh God, I want to hear it, but don't drop this in episodic. Damn it, I'm frozen.
No, you're not. Just go. Just go.
Don't drop this in episodic fashion in season 2. Give it to us all so we can binge it. And don't give us a half of a season 2 and then a year later give us the second half of season 2. Don't do that. Do it like you did it now. It's the right thing to do.
Do the right thing, Jeff. All right. Now, it is my pleasure to tell you that this week's Butter on Top will be The Fall Guy. This is a film we've been talking about for a while on here because we all thought it was supposed to come out a while ago, and then it never came out. And then we all started seeing trailers for it again, and we're like, I thought that came out already.
Yeah, there was trailers for this a while back.
Yeah.
I think they had rewrites or something, or re-editing. I really do. Because the first trailer I saw was not the second trailer.
No, I agree. Something happened. But Fall Guy, Ryan Gosling, here we go. That will be our Butter on Top this week. Jordan and I may try to get out to see Boy Kills World, but we're a little busy. So we'll see if we can make that happen.
Yeah.
That is a goal that we both have. We talked about it before the show in the production meeting. And now it is my drunk classic. And it is this is going to have elements of an indecent proposal to it. It's going to star Woody Harrelson and also Bill Murray. It is another comedy, and it is about another sport that most people find boring. So by now you may have guessed, we're watching Kingpin as our drunk classic. Josh, you haven't seen Kingpin?
I've seen it.
You've seen it, Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard all about it. It's one of those movies I know I needed to see. I only seen the small clips.
Okay, I think you're gonna love it. Go ahead, Jordan.
I think you're in this movie puts you in two camps. It's either you're a Lebowski guy or you're a Kingpin guy.
That's
Really?
fair.
We'll see.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So you're a Lebowski guy?
Yeah. More
Yeah,
of a
me too.
Lebowski.
I'm definitely a Lebowski guy. So we'll see what happens.
But I know
Okay,
people who are in
dudes.
the Kingpin camp. I know a lot of people, so
It's Bill Murray.
yeah.
And Woody.
Yeah.
Gotta love Woody. I guess that's a thread because I watched a Woody movie this week. All right, guys. Well, Jordan, where can they find the show?
On the X, the popcorn and the beer.
All right, that was about as good as Paul Giamatti's accent in Howard Stern's Private Parts. As I said earlier in the show, do not forget to tune in on YouTube at the Sad Fan Podcast Network. There is a website coming soon, I promise. There's just a little itty-bitty argument over the URL code going on between the crew, but we will sort that out to bring you all kinds of great content, and we can bring you some cool stuff when it comes to merchandise. All coming soon. Thank you for joining us each
Plush
and
toys.
every week.
Snuff films.
Snuff films.